Ay, ay, ay. Hello. Okay. Oh no, I'm getting feedback from my mic. Hang on. This should be a bit better. Okay, stream will start properly in a moment. I'm just gonna get the links out. So before I start properly, I should mention that I haven't been feeling too well last night, so my voice might be a little bit hoarse. For future reference, if anyone has any questions because they can't understand me due to my voice, just comment or just DM me. I think we can start in about 1 minute. Yeah, last stream I forgot to turn on the what's it called? The noise filter. So it might be like some background noises in that last stream. I try not to forget that again. It seems that every time I forget something. Okay, so now let's start. Okay, so we're gonna do the mesh this stream, as well as importing that mesh into DAZ and then into VaM. And then we're going to do the textures. So by the end of the stream, you're basically going to be about, I'd say 60 to 70% there. All that's left is basically the clothing, which actually does take a while, and the CUAs. If you have CUA here, that's going to be like the other 10%. So you're almost there. It's just this bit. Fortunately, this part is not too hard depending on the model, but it's also the most time consuming. So sculpting this mesh, depending on how good you are with Blender, it will take about, I'd say about 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours. If you're not very good at it, you can easily spend like a dozen hours or half a dozen hours. That's entirely natural. So if it takes you too long, don't get put off. It's just a matter of practice. Okay. What else I want to mention? All right. So because the entire process will take several hours, even if I try to speedrun this will take about 2 to 3 hours. I'm going to leave a link down in the description, and I'm going to leave a link down on the chat. And this person, it's basically who I learned how to do the sculpting of. And he's been doing this a lot longer than me. He's been doing this like 2-3 years longer than me. So, hang on. So you can reference his videos for like a more in-depth, like, how should I say, it's like a live stream of the entire process, and he's done like, he's got way more examples than me. Like, even if I do this entire thing in this one stream, it's just one example, whereas his channel has basically hundreds of them. So he's a much better reference. But what I will do for this stream is that I'll give you the tips and things to look out for, because VaM does has its intricacies. And hopefully that will be a good place for you to start. So I'll give you the tips here. You can check out Shintio or his channel Kevin for like a more in-depth type of analysis. And hopefully that will be enough to get you started. And if you got any questions, obviously you can DM me and all that. Oh, and for those people who recognize the name Shintio, he's quite famous for his, not VaM porting, but he's quite famous for converting models from say Genesis 3 or XPS to like Genesis 8, Genesis 9. We don't use 8 or 9 for VaM, we only use 2. But the process is almost entirely the same. You go through the wrapping process, you go to the sculpting process, and then you fiddle around with the clothing. Yeah, so I guess that's about 70%. That'll be about 70%. What's that word? Relevant. Yeah, that's it. Right, so first thing you want to do when you grab this model is just to double check the verts. It should be all right. So this number here, these numbers here, it's very important. You don't mess with this, so you don't go into here and start subtracting or adding or making it. Don't press this, because what that will do is that it will add verts, which are these little dots. And if you do that, it ruins the entire mesh. And when you import it into DAS, which then imports it into VaM, DAS will not recognize what this is. So it will not do the thing correctly. So you leave this alone. Basically what you want to do is to just shift the face, shift the surface around and not like delete or add anything to this. Now this might look quite overwhelming at first, so I'm just going to give you an overview. This might look quite overview at first. It looks really ugly. The wrap program is quite imperfect. So what you need to do now is basically try as much as you can to mesh this mesh here to the original mesh. So the first thing you do is to load the original OBJ. So I have that down as rep ready, and if you follow my guide, it should be the same. Sorry, I got it. Yes. So this is the original mesh, and that's going to be the base of everything. So you see here that rep has actually done quite a good job for the overall body. Several parts need straightening out. So for example, these parts here, these parts of the butt, the feet is okay, the fingers are okay. And obviously you want to sort the top of the head so it doesn't stick out too much. For a lot of MMD and KK models, like you get a chunk missing here. It's not really a big issue, just make it as close as you can. Sometimes it looks a bit unnatural, but that's just how it is. Alright, I think I've done the loops here. 1 second. Oh, okay, that's how it was. Alright, no, that's fine, that's fine. So the first thing you want to do is to untangle everything. Actually, no, the first thing you want to do is just snap to symmetry. And say it's failed, it's not a big issue. Come into here, make it as symmetrical as possible, because you want symmetry on, you don't want it to be lopsided. So it saves time on the work and it keeps things neater. And and for those people who are wondering, it's like, oh, this is really blocky, that's perfectly fine. Once you're done with this, you load this into another Blender project. It will smooth out automatically, so that's not a big deal. Don't get too worried if this looks really blocky. It's perfectly natural. So after you've done that, if your mesh has vertex groups, you can use that. If it doesn't, then that's fine. Switch on symmetry. For symmetry, when you work with the eyes, you click X, but if you work with the rest of the bodies, you turn this on as well, because I'll show you right now. If I do this, okay, that works. Some of the parts, it won't really work properly, so you need to make sure that this is on. But for the eyes, you turn that off. Otherwise, really weird things will happen. I can show it to you right now. So the eyes come with the cornea, iris, material group. There should be eye reflection, pupil. Yeah, basically hunt down all the parts first. Usually you have a vertex group, but if you don't have that, then that's fine. Just go to do this. Okay, I'm missing one. I think it's the Solera. Yeah, there we go. So what happens if you click this, and I'm gonna unselect this? It's gonna do that. So if that happens, just select that and just move this. So what we're doing right now, what we want to do right now is just moving the eyes out of the place. You don't want this to be in the way while you're working with the rest of the mesh. And for quicker access, I'll just usually add this to like a vertex group. What this does is that if you assign it, you press that and it'll select it, so you then do the whole thing at the start again. This is an anime model. And what you'll notice is that for anime models, you put these, you don't really need these. So the parts you don't really need, you just shrink them and put them in the head. So those are the eyelashes, what's it called? Lacrimals? I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And the tear ducts, you just shove them in here, it's not a big issue. That's namely for anime looks. For realistic looks, you might want to have these bits, but it's not too important. Sometimes they come with like their own as clothing, like for eyelashes. So the next bit that we want to just tidy up is the mouth. So this is going to be really intimidating. So what we're going to do right now is just to group it up, put it as a vertex and hide it. We want everything to be as neat as possible, especially if you're just starting out. You don't want to deal with all of that. So it's just 4 material groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. Usually I just call that as like M. Right, and you just pull this back. And you notice that parts of it's just hanging off like that. That's fine. It's just like parts of the lips connecting to parts of the mouth. So just press 3. Press hide. Select this again. Yeah, and just put it up here so it's ready to be. Actually, you don't even move this bit. You just, that's not part of the lips, that's part of the mouth. So once everything is done, you unhide everything. You select this bit and you just push this into shape. And yeah. So what I did just then is smoothing the vertex, and that's a very useful tool. You need to set this up yourself. So what you need to do is to go into mesh. I believe it's been some time since I set this up. You're going to mesh, vertex, smooth vertices, and then you right click, and it says remove for me now, but it should be add for you guys. So I'll say I'll remove it and I'm gonna add it. Right. This should be in here. So when you press Q, this is gonna show up. And then you don't have to go up there and press it every time. And that's really useful because when you want to straighten something, for example, these parts here, it kind of smooths it out. So you pull this out, do this, and it lets you just pull this out so you can kind of tug it into the shape of the face. And while I'm on the subject, you need to turn this on usually. You can turn it off, like depends what you're doing. And what this does is that it does things in an area. So it makes things a lot quicker. And using your mouse wheel, you can adjust the size. So if you make it big, that's the whole face. If you use a mouse wheel while you're tugging on this and you make it small, that's just part of the face. So what you want to do is basically just smooth it out. When you smooth it, it usually shrinks and then tug it out again, right? Until this kind of fits the general shape. And obviously you have symmetry on, so while you're working on this part will also do its thing. And you want to smooth everything out, including bits like the nose. So this part here usually takes a lot of time. But since I gave you guys an anime mesh, it basically should do like 80% of the work for you. But basically you just want to smooth it out, pull it out slightly, make sure nothing is tangled here. So just smooth it out again, tug it out slightly, rinse and repeat. And at a certain point, you'll have your own workflow, right? So you'll be like, okay, I like you working with the nose first. So I'll do this and then move on with the body. Some people like to move with the body first and then move with the face. So once you have your own workflow, what feels good for you, everything will just fall into place. Okay, and this is a very important thing as well. You notice that when you press this, this has a center, it's like a solid circle almost. You actually want to go in here and press connected only. So just now, it didn't really affect anything. But in case you have like your eyeballs or your head, like unhidden, it will actually affect it. So if I unselect this, and I make this big enough, you'll notice that the teeth kind of moves along as well. And you really don't want that unless you're, excuse me. You really don't want that unless you're messing around with clothing or anything. So 90% of the time you're going to want this on. And then, so when you pull, it's only the parts that's connected will get tugged. The mouth parts, or if there's like the eyeball behind there, it won't be affected. So that's really important. But to make things a lot neater and safer, I usually have this turned off as well. So when you work with the lips on the inside, like this, right, you won't have like the teeth and all that in the way. So this makes things a lot more stress-free. So for these parts here, like I said, you can use the smooth vertices thing. You smooth it out, you push it to the side a little bit. You smooth it out again, push it to the side a little bit, and so on. And then once everything is kind of entangled, you turn this back on, and then you do your fine adjustments. But, you know, having this done for you is going to save you at least an hour, I'd say, especially if it's your first time doing this. And since this is an anime character, I'm going to give you like further tips. The biggest kick in the balls when you're doing an anime character is always the eyes. So the mesh that I gave you guys basically have, I don't know, I'd say like 80% of the things done for you here. So this won't end up too tangled, but as you can see, it's still a bit off. So you just do what you did with the lips there. But the next tip I want to give you is to actually grab parts of these. Like so, and just make a tunnel. For anime characters, I usually do it 3 ranks deep. If it's for a realistic character, it's going to be 2 ranks deep. And I might explain that later in the future, but the reason I do it 3 ranks deep for anime characters is because it's more verts that way. Because the characters can't blink anyways, and you need as many vertices as you need. Now for realistic characters, you only do 2 because there's a specific shape that you need to sort this out to. So she blinks properly, or at least attempts to blink properly. But for anime characters, you can just leave that out for now. So what I like to do usually is that you make a tunnel. Oops. Smooth vertices. You make a tunnel, and that's going to be the sides of her eyes. Because you have to remember she doesn't blink anyways. And remember, this is specifically for anime characters. And the eyes will just sit in here. And that's it for now until I do the eyes. So usually I would just group this as eye tunnel, ET, and I'll just do that. And then I turn this back on. I'll grab these parts here, and then I'll work with it. So it'll be like this almost. So you want to untangle these bits as you work. It's fine to have it like out of shape as you work. Like if it's bulging out, that is fine. What you don't want is tangled vertices. So first thing you want to do is untangle these. Make it smooth. Once it's smooth, you put it into place. Right. So it just makes things neater, especially for newer folks. Like so, and then you work through it, like, yeah, basically do it one at a time. This entire process does take a few hours. So if you're taking, you know, like 1 or 2 nights to do this, then it's perfectly natural. Don't feel bad. Once again, you can just ask me if you've got any questions. Now, for the bits with the legs, generally, you really don't need to do anything about this. Like, the legs, doesn't matter if you're like an anime or realistic character, usually they're in this specific shape. So you can just leave it as it is. For the toes, now it looks really gnarly. And I'll be fair, I don't do toes or feet or fingernails that well at all. So usually what I do for these is just I just smooth it, make it straight, make sure it's in the right shape. So I just tuck this out, select these, smooth it, just pull it out again, so on and so forth. If the feet or the nail starts looking really bad, you're gonna have to use a mold fixer, and that's gonna be from another step. But generally, even like this is fine. VaM actually does fix a lot of things when you import it into the software. So the same for the fingers as well. So you might recall in the rep tutorial, I did the points in between the fingers. And those are usually a pain in the ass if you don't get that right. But if you do that properly, you notice that these are basically in place. So you just need to really just straighten these out. Right. Once again, you don't need to be 100% perfect. There's a bit of leeway. This VaM itself is a little bit imperfect, so chasing for that perfection is just time inefficient, I guess. And DAS and VaM does fix a lot of things on their end. So that's about that. The boobs, best way to really do this, just turn this back on again and just pull these out into shape. Just do that. Do that, and then use smoothing to just smooth it back onto the surface. Nipples and all that are basically in position. You can adjust this a bit if you want. Okay, so I need to do that. Just do that. Yeah, and then I basically do this. Now, aside from doing it this way, if you look at Shintail's videos, he does offer an alternative way of doing this. Some people might find that a little bit more intuitive. He does it both ways. He does this as well, but he also does it another way, where it's he uses this. Now, for myself, it's not my style because I find this not as intuitive. I like things very constant. I like my variables very constant, and doing it as like a bunch of vertices makes it easier for me to practice. But for some people, sculpting with this, like pushing and sculpting, is a bit more relaxing. So you can just do that instead. Okay, so for this, hang on, let me just, this is nowhere near done, but I'm just doing this as an example of what to, basically roughly what to do. Now, say this is done. Say this is done, and you need to bring it into DAS and then VaM now. So what do? So first you unhide everything. So move all the mouths and all that into place. Move the eyes and all that into place. For the mouth, I usually like it around here. And if people are wondering about the size, small is better because it helps with the collider. So if it's too large, I find that it messes with the collider, so it's best to put with like a smallish mouth and then make it bigger inside the VaM. So press 3 and then press hide. So what 3 does is that it switches from vertex mode to face mode. If I hide in vertex mode, this disappears. But if I hide in face mode, this stays, and then switch back to vertex mode by pressing 1. And then clicking this again. And I can just, this will just fall into place. Okay, so all that's done. Pretend this is done. This is nowhere near done. I'm just speed running through this tutorial right now. You want to save this. So you're going to come into object and let me open OPS so the menu comes up. Okay, so the menu is out here. I'll do this. I've basically completed the mesh part of this, so yeah, just ignore the mess here. But remember to always select keep vertex order. You need this on, otherwise it will scramble itself inside of VaM. So make sure you save with this. And usually I call it like prep out, but I already have a prep out here, so I'll just do prep out too. Oh, I already have that. Prep out 3 then. Yeah, to be really careful with Blender because there's no override protection. It will go red, but that's it. It won't ask you for confirmation before overriding something, so you have to be always aware of that. Oh, YouTube won't let people say hi? Oh, okay. Hang on. Let me see if I can fix that. What's up with that? Oh, Kuro, I can see you say hi now. Is it lagging? What the heck is going on? Oh yeah, so... Sorry, Kuro, I see a comment now on Discord, and now chat came out. Oh, okay. I hope that's fixed. And thanks for joining this late. I know it's really, really late where you are right now. Tomorrow's stream should be a bit earlier, unless my flu gets worse, then I don't know. We'll figure that out. So, pretend that this is done. It's not done. Just pretend it is. I'm speed running this. I'm cutting through 2 to 3 hours in the middle. You save it. Make sure you keep vertex order. When you save it, make sure that the file is 3 megabytes. Sometimes it doesn't save everything totally, and it's like 50 kilobytes or something. And it's going to pretend it saved, but it hasn't. And then when you load into DAS, it doesn't load properly, and then you get upset, but it's actually Blender playing tricks on you. Yeah, sorry about that, Kuro. I switched everything to ultra low latency. Just hopefully that solves everything. Yeah. So I need to blow my nose. 1 second. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I've got like sniffles right now, so trying to clear out my sinuses. And then I just woke up as well, so it's like extra stuffy. You can probably hear from my voice as well that I'm a bit, yeah, under the weather, but that's fine. So now that she's saved, you want to open up another Blender? Don't save. It's fine. And I'll bring her in. Let me mess with OBS again so the menu shows up. Sorry, one moment. Being extremely uncooperative right now. Come on. Come on, show up. Okay, it doesn't want to show up for some reason. Oh, there we go. So you want to load this into a fresh project. Make sure it's 3 megabytes so that it's saved properly. You'll notice that a lot of these ones here are 3 megabytes, and that's about the file size of the actual mesh if you haven't touched anything, like if you haven't deleted any vertices and all that. Make sure you take this, you import it back in. So when you get to this step, 1, it will look a lot better than this. Much better than this. And 2, when you select it, you'll see all these lines here. So you would remember that I told you guys not to mention, like not to get too worried about it looking blocky is basically because of this. So you want to press 2 to go into edge mode, which lets you select these edges. So you press 2, press A, select everything, right click, and just clear sharp. And you immediately notice that it's less blocky. And if you want to be really careful as well, just reset vectors. If reset vectors is not on your quick favorites bar, it's basically, I believe it's in here. Yeah. So if you don't have it, just press right click here, add it to your favorites. It's useful when you do clothing and all that. So I will recommend that. Now, okay, so now you want to bring this into VaM. Like pretend eyes and everything is in place. You want to bring this into VaM. So you need to save it again. So export and then save as OBJ, selection only. And here I am messing with this again. Go into the folder that you want. Make sure that these two are ticked again. And then just say, I'll call this tutorial. Right. And you notice that when I saved, there was like a little box, like a little loading bar box. That's a good sign. So it means it's actually saving it properly. If it says it saves without doing the little box thing, without the little lag, then it means it probably screwed up the save and you have to save it again because Blender is just weird sometimes. Excuse me, I need to blow my nose. Okay, and now I'm back. So now it's saved as an OBJ and you will have to switch over to DAZ. So I'm gonna open up DAZ. And then, yeah, there we go. So we're going back into DAZ. So what DAZ is that for VaM purposes, this will be your interface that loads things into virta-mate. So you're gonna have to open this. And then you have to go into Edit, Figure, Morph Loader Pro. Choose a morph file and then go to Taiho Summer. Well, you don't have to, just for me. And I saved it under tutorial. So just use these settings. I think this is the only thing you need to change. And press accept. So it should say that the morph has successfully loaded them. And you just have to hunt for it. So that's where it is. That's where it is. Now, the next part is that you need to rig the model. It's not a complicated process, it's actually quite easy. So what the rigging does is that it gives it the colliders and the bones of the model. And you can see right now that's out of place. So you go back into figure, rigging. That's just rigging to shape, and don't press anything, just press accept. And now it's a lot better. But these are, the angles are wrong. Excuse me. And then you go back into rigging, adjust to shape, and you press orientation. And this time you untick the head and lower jaw and upper jaw. Now in some guides, it will tell you to orientate everything, but I prefer not to orientate the head and the jaws for several reasons. One is that it might orientate the head slightly different. Like right now, it's good. So in VaM, she's gonna sit perfectly up straight. If you let the let the DAS orientate that automatically, it might calculate it in the way that you don't want it to. So it's gonna start pointing up forward or back. And what that does is that when you unfreeze the model in VaM, the head's gonna tilt a certain way. And that's not good. Same with the jaws. Sometimes, especially for anime models, because the jaws are disproportionate to the rest of the body, it's gonna like stick out here, or it's gonna like point down here and all that, and you don't want that because that will mess with the colliders. And speaking of colliders, it will mess with the colliders a little bit right now as well, but that's why we use the plugin preset. And you would ask yourself, it's like, hey, you know, why don't you just do it properly? Then that way you don't need the plugin preset anyways. Well, you need a preset because the finger colliders, especially for anime looks or slimmer models or game characters, is going to be way too large for the surface area as well. So what you sometimes will get is that you get fingers that kind of like rub on each other and then like deflect off each other. So either way, you're going to need a preset anyways. So if you have a preset anyways, then you might as well do this, save you a lot of time, and it fixes two problems at the same time. So that's like a perfect solution to a imperfect situation. Okay, once that is done, you're gonna have to come into here, go into edit mode, freeze it. So freezing is really important. If you forget to freeze it, it basically locks the joints together. If you don't freeze it, it's gonna spaghetti out. So you get this Slenderman situation where the fingers turn to like tentacles. If you're messing around VaM Discord, sometimes you get questions like, oh, why is my creation turning to Slenderman with the fingers turning to like freaking tentacles and all that? It looks freaky. It's because they forgot to freeze it. And that's basically it. So what you need to do now is to go into Save As, Support Asset, Morph Assets, find a folder where you want to save it. So I usually save it into my documents here. And then hop down to this folder here. And I'll press accept. And that's saved. And this entire file will show up in that folder. So that folder for me would be, give me a moment. Because some people do get confused by this as well. So I might as well show you guys. Oh, where did it go? Okay, so I might need to do... Oh, man. me do a display capture because OBS is just being a pain in the ass. Double checking if it can display that window. Oh, it can. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this will be a dash folder. This will be your dash folder. Yeah, is it not showing up properly? Oh, okay, it's showing up properly. So that's going to be your display folder, and you'll notice that the tutorial model is right up here, and it says DSON. That's the file you want, so you want to Control X or Control C, and then bring it into where is it? Person. Do I click this? Hang on. Okay, that's fine. It's safe. Okay, so you go into here, and then that's your VaM folder, custom atom person morphs female, and you just drop it here. Okay, so when that is dropped, you go into VaM female morphs, search for this name, and then pull all the sliders up, and that's golden. That's it. Now there's one last thing to do in DAZ, and I'm gonna turn this off. There's one last thing to do in DAZ, and you want to pull a version of this mesh back into Blender, because that's going to be what you're going to use to project your models for texturing. So I need to blow my nose again. Aye. Okay. So from here, you're going to have to go to subdivide, pull it down. Same way that you're exporting your Genesis 2 mesh. Base here. And then file, export. And then, yeah, just do that. Name it anything. I usually name it ready. Actually, no, name it ready. Definitely name it ready, because the rep file for later on will read this file name. So call it ready. I call it ready 2 for now because I don't want to override my actual file here. I'll show you later. And click save. Keep these settings here. If the scale is different, just switch it to DAZ Studio. That's fine. And that's it. So we're going back into Blender for the textures. Just give me a moment. Okay, so that's the actual model that I have done, that has been properly sculpted, and this model was commissioned by Heckler. So Heckler, if you see this, thank you for commissioning her. And this model is Taiho Summer. So as you can see, this is the version. Hang on, I'll just bring in the actual. That's a Genshin model. That's not it. It doesn't really matter that much, but I'm just gonna make sure everything is. Whatever. I'll just use this. So this is Taiho Summer. We're gonna use this basically as a base for the texture to project onto. So what that means is that I have the original model. Let me bring that up. This is the original model that was the base. And as you can see, it's quite close. Like, it's almost perfect. I spent some time on this. So this will have her own textures with her own UV maps. and you want to bring her onto Wrap 3D, and then wrap the textures from this onto her. So you can notice that her UV map is a lot different. It's basically a giant, yeah. So if you do that, it will save you a lot of time. You won't have to paint anything. It's just projected onto her. Now there's a lot of nuances, mainly due to the UV maps, but I'll explain that as I go on. Now for Taiho, I think I forgot to save a ready model, so I'll do that now. I'll open up theirs again, so I'll just use that as another demo. Because occasionally yeah. So resolution to base, and then subdivision to 0. Export. And do ready. There we go. So now we need to go into Wrap 3D, and I'll open that up now. And we're onto the texturing portion. Okay. Okay. So this is the wrap window. Oh wait, hang on. Why is it so... What has happened to my screen? Okay, that's a lot better. Oh gee, I hope the entire... Was Blender like this? Oh no, I hope I didn't screw that up. I might have to redo the stream. Well, anyways, I'm trying really hard not to laugh right now because 1, I'm gonna cry, and 2, my voice is gonna give. So, excuse that little blunder. So right now we're going to put the texture onto the model that we want. So we're gonna open. Now mine will look a little bit different. You also just say limb wrap, torso wrap, face wrap, ear wrap, and all that. I'm using an older version that I'm more familiar with. Yours is a lot more streamlined and it's labeled correctly, but you know what I mean. Just click this. So what this does is that you want to load the image onto a... Well, you can't see the base model yet, so I'm just gonna load the image of the texture. Sometimes it takes a bit of hunting. Is that it? Let me double check. Okay. So apparently her body does have a tattoo. And okay, and it's based off like a KK model, I believe. So this was originally an MMD model, but I think got converted into like a... Sorry, this was originally a KK model, and they got converted into like an MMD model, I'm guessing. Now, if you're really not sure about the textures, especially for MMD models, you can just open up the old model again. There's a really quick way to find out, which I'll do here just in case. Yeah, I need to do that. Okay, so there's a quick way to find out. So if you go to UV editor, just drag this up, find the body. So that's it. You just grab that. So this texture should look like this. So I need to hunt this down now. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, hold on. What's it called? Face diffuse. So you can either just search it in the search bar or hunt it down manually, which is what I'm doing right now. Oh, there it is. Yeah, okay, I found it. It's in the main folder. Duh. Okay, so I found the face, and then I'm gonna check the body now. Okay, so it is using that KK texture. Oh, so okay, so it's like a bash mod. Okay, that's quite rare. I do the same for VaM sometimes, but doing it for MMD model, that's actually quite rare. But it's quite good as well because you get the full body, but you get the detailed face at the same time. Okay, that's pretty good. That's a good model. Should it get more complicated? Okay, we're gonna go on another tangent. We're gonna go on another tangent. Because I love tangents. So, you notice that that mesh here has the black blobs on the upper right hand corner. And that's for the fingernails. Now, you want to get rid of that. The reason being it's really hard to match the fingernails and when you're doing the sculpting. Even if you do it as neat as you can, you're still going to get jagged lines. That's just how it projects onto the models. I know a way around that, so the first thing you do is just to get rid of this. And by get rid of this, I mean, you're going to here, make sure there's an alpha channel, which means there's a transparency. If there's not, then press this. There is, so it's grayed out. And what this does is when you do that, this is transparent. So what this does is that because it's transparent, when you wrap it, the wrap program will try to fill in these places. Now, it won't fill it in perfectly, but there's a trick afterwards. So I'm just gonna get rid of this for now. And I'm gonna save it as I'm gonna save it as body 2. And then going back to VaM. I mean, going back into wrap. I'm gonna load body 2 here. And you'll see that everything is now right because there's now a texture. On the left hand side, do not touch anything because I already set this up for you. As you can see here, these are the limbs for the limb part of the G2B model. So do not touch this, do not change anything, that's set up perfectly. But now for this part, you need to make sure that you highlight everything. I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry. So now all this is selected. I need to really change this. But just name it whatever you want. I'll name it this for now. And I press compute current frame. So I will now show you guys the results. So that's what's produced. So basically what I did is just project the texture from the original model down onto the VaM model, and it'll convert the UV maps and everything. So now it will look really clean and perfect. So the next part is to add the fingernails back into here, because I deleted it earlier, and it'll go here. As you can see, there's like bits where the program tried to fill in, but it's not perfect. So to get the perfect outline, this is what I do. I go into I gave you guys these files as well. So you go into the file pack that I gave you, look for two files. One of them is called the toenails, and another one's called nail UV. And if you're really sharp, you'll know what I'm about to do. I'm just going to select this, invert it, grab this color by control left click, and then go for the bucket tool, and then do this. And do this again. Oops. Because this is the nail UV, so to get the perfect outline, I just extracted the UV islands for just the nails. You just fill that in. You press Ctrl-Shift-C. And you do that. And this way, no matter how big or small your nails are, it's just going to fill out the nails. It won't spill over or anything. You're going to get the perfect outline. And then you save this as limbs-D. Is the menu showing up? Okay, so I'm calling it limbs-D very specifically because that is the file name that VaM will pick up and load the textures automatically. If it's called limbs-D, it will load it automatically. It'll recognize that name. So just call it that. So wait for it to save, and then I can do the rest now. So the rest would be yeah. So now I'm loading the next file, which is it should be the torso. So once again, I'm going in, I'm grabbing the texture that I need. Should grab the texture that I need. Why is it not? Okay, it's working now. Right hand side, do not fiddle with anything. It's pre-selected for you. I did all the work for you here, basically. So if you're unsure of this step, then yeah. Why is rep frozen? Program's frozen right now. Oh, cool. I'm gonna have to restart the program. Just crashed on me. Okay, so double checking everything. Yeah, so here everything's already selected. Don't mess with that. I've done all the work for you here. Go on to the right hand side one. This one you want to select everything. And then yeah, ignore the bad file name, just press compute. And that's done. And I'll show you the results now. And that's the result. Now, for this one, it's a little bit tricky. This is due to, so what happened is that part of the neck probably reached up into where the original model's head is. So it didn't pick up that texture. It's fine, we can fix that. The nipples are not there because they're not on the base texture, so probably added by decal or another way. That's perfectly doable. So on this texture map, it's also missing the ears. The ears are supposed to be here, and the rest of the head's supposed to be here. We're gonna fix that. But yeah, this is what you want. So that's fine. Going back to wrap. Next is the face. No, I'm gonna pick something else. Do the neck portion thing. So I'm loading the head texture, and I'm gonna go to here and call this neck. That's just gonna load the missing neck joint, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, you get this, and this is really gnarly. But this bit is basically where parts of the neck extended into the head, so it couldn't grab the head texture, which generated this kind of glitch here. So what you want to do here is to basically just grab the selection tool, click here, make sure you get most of everything. Control Shift C, and then do that. There's a bit of fixing afterwards. There's probably a bit of fixing afterwards, but yeah, that's just how it is. And if that doesn't work, then you can always just paint through it manually. That's very easy. But for now, that's what we're gonna leave it as. And then next, we're gonna do the head. Load the face file. Don't mess with this, but select everything here. And then yes, label it whatever you want. Compute current frame, not flame. And you should have the face file. Let's play it here. Yep. So that's the face here. And it's a little bit of a mess. But you can start editing this. So basically what you do next is to add the eyelashes here. Color in the bits with the bits of the eye, and then fill in the blank here with black, basically. And then use blur tool to just smooth out whatever doesn't really fit. All right, so I'm gonna have to cut the stream short because my cold is acting up right now. Really sorry about that. I'll continue off tomorrow. It's gonna be a little bit earlier, but for now, my voice is just dying because of the influenza or whatever I'm having. I'm pretty sure it's not the flu, but I'm feeling a little bit horrible right now. So I'm just gonna leave us here. This is about almost done basically. I'll do like a more in-depth thing tomorrow. I'll continue off. I'll do a recap and continue off here tomorrow. I'm just not feeling too well right now. Yep. So thank you for joining. And I'm gonna go. Oh, and have a good weekend. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully I'll feel better. Bye bye.